Welcome to the Compost Pile, a podcast where we break down gardening, homesteading, and more. Join your hosts, David Pool and Aaron Barnhill, as they pile up information and break it down so that you can be more successful in the garden.
Guys, welcome back to the Compost Pile, your favorite podcast for all things gardening and homesteading. With me, as always, is my co-host David Poole, owner of Mid-County Farm and Feed. We're going to get into a little bit of this and that in this episode. Maybe let's keep it light. I don't know. What are we talking about?
I think we want to maybe talk a little bit about the concept of sustainability.
Oh, you mean like green energy sustainability?
No.
Oh, okay.
Like creating a sustainable garden, but maybe not in the sense that, like, you know, when I studied permaculture, like you're creating sustenance, sustaining,
Right.
creating a system where it takes care of itself. So least inputs, but that's not what I mean.
Oh, okay. Well,
What
what do you mean? What are we
So-
talking? Yeah.
I think what we're talking about today is more about creating it doesn't matter whether this is gardening or like whether you're wanting to raise like some form of like small backyard livestock. It's about creating a sustainable system.
Oh, you mean like making sure that you would want to keep doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Because like, I think I've faced a lot of interactions with people over 21 years of learning about gardening and helping people be successful in just gardening or maybe chickens. And I've even done some of these same things. Like you go into this brand new project or maybe it's not new and you think it needs to be bigger and you start out and it's just oversized.
Yeah.
And that creates like short-term like sustainability because it becomes more work than pleasure. And I think that's like a big mistake that a lot of people make.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. I've seen it all too often. I've talked to coworkers over the years who kind of get bitten by the garden bug for the first time, and they haven't really developed the skills yet, but also they don't have the experiences to draw on, right?
Yeah.
So you're starting out, you're excited about this, and you're ready to go, and you start buying seeds, right? It's the easiest thing in the world. They come in little tiny packets, little paper packets. They've got great artwork on them. Most of the time they're cheap. So you might buy like 20 varieties of stuff. And let's say you put all that in the ground. Now what? You got a huge garden, right? And the garden takes watering. It takes observation daily. It takes picking and pruning and all that.
It also takes like
you're setting yourself up for failure.
you're navigating all these different plants that don't have all the exact same needs.
Oh, no.
And so just like, I don't know if you ever experienced this from a work perspective, but like it brings on, eventually you get burnt out.
Oh, yeah. No, you do. You get burnt out quick.
And it's not enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's like, for me, that's one of the most important parts about why I love gardening or growing or even helping people, because it's interesting.
Yeah.
You can just take a second to stop and look. If anybody tuned into the episode I did last week, it was strictly just talking about taking the time to observe plants.
Yeah.
Like, what are the plants telling you? Like, are you listening to the environment and what's around you? And when you go too big, you ruin that right out of the gate for yourself.
Well, it's too much to keep track of, right?
Yeah.
And I've talked on this channel plenty of times about like having a process, writing some stuff down, even really simply diagramming out your plot, right? Keeping track of what seeds you have. And when it becomes too much, you just kind of stop. You know, and gardening is also something that is really easy to feel like you're either being successful in or you're failing in, and that can really change your momentum. You know, if you have like half of your crop not fruiting, or half of your plants dying or wilting or drooping or just not being successful, it'd take all of your steam out, you know, it'd take all the wind out of your sails.
And then too, if you couple that with like just starting off like with a lot of space, you've invested a lot more financial resources into getting it going.
Yeah.
And the same thing goes for like raising chickens. Like you go in and you start off with way too many
Yeah.
like right out of the gate. I did this. I know. And that's the reason why I don't have them right now, is because I burnt myself out from it, and it was not enjoyable at all.
Right.
And I know I want to do it again, but I've got to get over that like mental like state, and because if I do it again, it's got to be enjoyable.
And you started out in a non-sustainable way.
Exactly.
With chickens, with your backyard livestock, right? You had it in your head, hey, I'm going to be a chicken baron. I'm going to start, Texas fried chicken and everything. I'm going to be the egg king of mid-county. And you just had too much, right? I mean, maybe it's...
And even like at home, if I think about like just my gardening space, like I started off like in the newest space that we have, I have probably 7 or 8 raised beds. And that seems like a lot. And it is in a sense, but they're not all like massive, like 4x8 beds.
Right.
Like, so I'm not dealing in hundreds of square foot of garden space. I'm dealing in very small, controllable plots that worked well together. And so, but I knew that going in that I didn't want to go crazy.
Yeah.
And right now, I do feel at this point, now that I've learned the environment and the space I have, I'm now ready to expand it a little.
Right.
Maybe add a little more, because I feel like I don't have the room to do or grow everything that I want when the timing is right. So now I've learned, I'm comfortable, I'm happy, things are very, very easy to deal with. So that's what you've got to do. You got to get in there, start small. I had somebody come in the other day on Saturday. I was very towards the end of the day, and I just happened to catch several customers, and they came in, they were ready to plant something. They were doing it today. They were building this garden.
At the end of the day?
It might have been in the middle of the day. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I have no concept of time.
Oh, yeah.
It's always earlier that I didn't even realize it's Wednesday.
That's true, yeah.
So they had a tiller already like scheduled to rent. They were going to go home and they were going to break ground.
They're making rows?
Yeah, they were making rows. And they came in to get seeds, and they were asking for like not all their, I'm going to say it wrong. They were asking for things that like they weren't going to be successful with right out of the game. They were going ham. They were going all in, man.
Right.
Everything. They were talking about, they were going to plant melons, peppers, tomatoes, cucumbers, like just everything. And started talking to them about it. I was like, I think you're getting a little in over your head.
See, first of all, this is why you're a great merchant, right? Because you go to any other place, you go to big box stores, you go to hardware stores, stuff like that. I don't know anybody that's going to talk people out of buying more merchandise.
I mean, to be truthful, in this instance, like when it all was said and done, I did sell the client more than what they came in to buy.
It was more appropriate, right?
But I sold them something, and I got their mindset right. So instead, they went home, and they were going to build 3 4x8 cinder block beds, just one level deep.
Right. Okay.
They could build it up more if they wanted. They went home, and they had a plan. They were going to plant one bed with melons only to keep it separated. Then they were going to plant some other things. We talked about like how if they planted tomatoes, they probably weren't going to get any, or it was going to be a very laborsome and unfun growing season because we're already getting pests.
Right.
It's already getting really hot. Most likely by the time they get big enough, they're not going to fruit. So we had that opportunity to like set them up for hopefully success right out of the gate. And they were still just as stoked when they left, but they left with a total new game.
With a better idea, yeah.
With a better idea. And it was talking to them about, like, we've talked about this a lot on this show, like the challenges of in-ground gardening and why a lot of people go to raised beds. And that was something they had no clue about. So they went home and they're building a raised bed in a sense. They're elevating their space.
Right.
And they're setting themselves up for success. And that's kind of where most people miss the mark, I think. They have this grandiose idea.
Yeah.
And like in a fast society like today, when the time is right to do it, you just do it. You don't really sit down and plan it out.
Yeah, no, I see that a lot. And I'll share with you a little of my experience in a former life, right? So when I was doing the food truck, right, when I ran the food truck, the DetMac food truck was incredibly cheap. right? We bought it for $10,000. We haggled it down. We made it as lean as possible because we want more profit, right? And so many times I see people that get in their head, I want to start a food truck. I want to start this endeavor. And they go all out. They have this vision and they go and they buy a $450,000 food trailer. You know what I mean? Something that is a full kitchen that can serve all your needs. And I'm like, well, what are you guys making? They're like, oh, pizza. Well, why do you need a full kitchen just to make pizza? And then I'll talk to them like, have you worked out how many events you're going to have to do to pay this sucker off? Well, I'll tell you what, there's not enough events in the calendar year for you to do that. So people oftentimes when they have passions and when they have a big vision about something, they go all out in a way that's very unsustainable, right?
Well, I think they also forget about the personal vision of why they wanted to do this. Because, more people are creating themselves like in gardening. They're creating themselves chores.
Yeah, because gardening is chore heavy, you know?
Right. So, but at the end of the day, like their vision of where they're going and why they started this, it's there for a split second and then it's gone.
Yeah.
And it's not the driving factor, you know. I drove, you know, we talked about this, like I'm not a big vegetable eater.
Yeah. We talked about it before we started.
Why in the world do I grow all this? Because I like to learn.
Yeah.
I like to try to spread knowledge. And is my knowledge always right? No, because I'm a learner. But at the same time, like, it keeps me engaged.
Yeah.
It keeps my busy mind.
Well, you earn your knowledge. That's for sure. Yeah.
You know, it fits my personality and who I am, and it makes me content.
Mm-hmm.
There's no boredom in it.
Right.
You know, so I have a personal gain.
That's a good. I mean, that's a good thing that you're saying is kind of like examine your motivations, right? Examine that. Why you want to garden in the first place, and that kind of keep you on track for being sustainable. That's
and I
really
think too,
good.
part of that, like, you know, if you're unlike me and you actually love lots of vegetables and things like that, you know, what actually are you passionate about?
Yeah.
What are the things that you actually use? Because I think in building a sustainable gardening system, you also have to think about, like, what the hell am I going to do with all this stuff?
Yeah.
Like, if you are successful, and you start out small and you plant a good stand of something, like, are you physically prepared to do something with it?
That happened to me last year. We've talked about it. I grew okra last year for the first time. Wildly successful. It's an easy plant to grow. You know what I mean? Easy. And I had so much okra. How much okra do you think I ate last year?
I have no idea.
0. I ate none. I ate absolutely none. But that doesn't really deter me. I'll probably grow okra again because it's a beautiful plant.
Right.
It has these nice little hibiscus flowers. It's really fun. It's a fun plant. So even if I didn't eat the okra, I don't really care. Right? I was learning something, and I can give it all away. Right? So
you got to think about those things. Like, I'm about to harvest probably like 100 cherry tomatoes.
It was
like,
prolific. Yeah.
What am I gonna do? Like,
I just moved some leaky cherry tomatoes off my counter this morning because I didn't do anything with it.
Right, and they're like, I can't like put those in a salad or something fast enough to use them all. So
right.
I have to think about what I'm gonna do with it. Like, am I gonna can? Am I gonna like prep and freeze?
Mm-hmm.
Am I gonna cook some of it fresh? Like, what allotments am I gonna do with it? And like, do I know how to do this? And if I don't, like, I should probably be thinking about that before I ever even come close to picking it up. I'm not saying you gotta like know that before you plant the plant, but like, you're taking care of it, you're learning a little bit, but maybe like as you're getting ready over that month or two before harvest, like, what do I got to do to do something with this?
What am I going to do with my 30 pounds of jalapenos?
Because I know as much stuff has gone to waste on my kitchen table, like, I know that I'm not the only one.
Hey, none of it goes to waste on our kitchen tables because we have compost piles.
True.
I'm just saying, throw that sucker right in the compost pile. Recycle it.
And so there's a lot of preparation that's got to go into it. I think that's another discouraging thing. Like, if you don't lose it to that, you can lose it to just not knowing the problems you're going to face. And you have to realize that it's an experiment.
Mm-hmm.
in a sense. You have to treat it like an experiment. You're going to have successes and failures. Not every year you're going to get a bumper crop of every single thing. And some years you're going to have a bumper crop, and some problem's going to come along, and it's going to decimate something. And that's just unfortunate. It's just the way it is sometimes.
Yeah, and I think it kind of comes down to sustainability can come down to a personality type as well.
Yeah.
Some people need regiment to be sustainable, right? Because they like to be focused and they like regiment. There's people that only grow roses, right? And that's their thing because they're breeding roses, or maybe they're trying to work for a pure black rose and be the first person in the world to ever, breed that. Some people are ADHD boys like me and just thrive in chaos. That's what I was trying to say. And I know that that's what I need to be sustained. And then this hobby kind of begets another hobby, and I go down all these rabbit holes, right? Because before I know it, I have all this food. Oh, I need to look up canning methods. And now I'm learning canning, right? Now I'm learning preservation. Now I'm learning all these other things, and I'm ready for it. But you kind of need to do a little bit of self-examination on that as well. It's like, what are you here for? You know what I mean? Are you just trying to be like Smokey That Curry and grow the hottest peppers? Cool. Do you want to plant flowers and fruit and maybe house plants are your thing? So kind of examine that, and that'll help you be sustainable too.
Absolutely.
Right? What do you want to focus on?
One other thing that comes to mind, like when I think about sustainability, is a lot of people too, they're not prepared to understand the water usage that gardening takes. I'm not saying that from a sense that like your water bill is going to go up crazy.
I mean, not really. Yeah, municipal water is cheap,
but also it's one of those chores that becomes absolutely like the least favorite thing for some people. They hate that.
Sure.
And I also think that people set themselves up when they're starting out for failure by choosing the wrong location for their garden.
Yeah.
And that no matter, even if they start small, if they plant the garden out in the back 40 of the backyard,
or you have to go a long way,
and the spigot is at the house 50 feet away, and then you're dragging the hose out and doing it. Like, you have to set yourself up for,
you got to make it easy. Yeah, you got to make it easy.
You got to take a step back and think about like, what's going to make this actually enjoyable?
Right.
Irrigation systems and micro irrigation is all awesome, but like none of that stuff is a necessity right out of the gate. I'm in like 4 or 5 years in this new garden, and I still don't have any of that.
Yeah.
And I would love it, but am I ever going to get it? I don't know. But like the hose, I don't ever have to pull the whole thing out anywhere to get anywhere. Like it's right there.
Yeah.
I made it specifically for that because I knew it would be a pain point, in which made me hate gardening, and I would quit.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the things that I learned in my first garden. I was like, it was a nuisance to have to get the hose.
What do you have? Like, do you have like a cool retractable hose or something? No.
I just have I'll never think of the name of it, but it's a flat hose that's almost like it reminds me much like a fire hose.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And it's very, very lightweight. I have a 100-foot hose at the store, and I have a 50-foot one at home. And even when it's full out of water, it hardly ever kinks
because it's a flat hose.
Because it goes back flat.
Right.
And it's when it's full of water, it's very lightweight. It's not cumbersome.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
And it's just simple. It doesn't.
And that's you examining a pain point and your gardening and your technique and who you are as a person. And you don't want to be fighting a hose all the time, right? So you did the sustainable.
Anytime I have to water at the feed store, we have like a traditional hose. You don't want to see the steam coming out of my ears when it kinks 30 times in a 10-minute period. But it's just one of those things. Like, we always talk about having a plan and documenting, and maybe not all that stuff is feasible right out of the gate, but be thinking ahead for ways that you can improve it and make it easier down the road, because the more sustainable it is for you personally, the more successful you're going to be.
So let's dumb all this down, right? Let's take it to the brass tacks. What is the number one thing you think somebody could do to improve their sustainability in the garden?
Maybe two answers. It's like,
and I'll give you mine after.
If you're just starting, start small and grow.
Okay.
Learn your space, learn your environment, learn your setup, make sure that you're successful on a small scale, and then you can begin to scale your system. This is like, as somebody like a business person, like anybody who runs a business knows that if you can create systems like McDonald's, you create a system, it's scalable to no end. So you could make it as big as you want if you perfect the small space first. Now, if you're somebody who already is an established gardener, dial in what matters the most to you and what actually gives back what you put in, and grow things that are actually like sustainable from a cost perspective to grow, so that we're actually getting some things and that you can actually use everything that you are growing. So what are yours?
Well, I mean, you kind of stole that right out of my brain. I was gonna say, I think the biggest thing for sustainability is start reasonably and responsibly, right? And exactly what you were saying is you can't go hog wild. I know you want to, and if you're the type of person who thrives in failure and that's how you learn, disregard what I'm saying. There's a lot of people that are like that. You know what I mean? They really, and that's the best way to learn. But I promise you, if I'm thinking about the customers you were talking about who were going to rent a tiller and who are going to make rows and doing all that, I'm thinking about that person, that example. If you've never done it, I promise you, growing like just a couple peppers is going to give you the same satisfaction as growing a whole row of peppers for your first time. You know what I mean? And
maybe even more satisfaction.
Exactly. And you're hedging your bets and you're learning more and you're fine tuning everything. And if you start way up here, there's not really anywhere to go with satisfaction. You know what I mean? If you just think about all the other things that we do in our lives and the way that we learn, we always learn small and we build on that, right? So if you're trying to come right out of the gate and make a market farm because you want to go to the farmer's market, and where are you really going to go? I mean, even if you're successful at that, you're kind of ruining it. You're peaking.
Well, I will say there is somewhere that you can go. And I feel like that it is the point of this entire conversation.
Okay.
If you're here, the only place to go is here. And that's failing and quitting.
Yeah.
And then the whole concept and investment and endeavor to what you're doing, no matter whether it's food, eggs, goats, quail, makes no difference. Like, if you go all in and you don't put the building blocks in,
absolutely,
then you can go down.
And
then you're going to quit, not because you're not satisfied. You're not successful. So I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. So that's just been kind of we kind of had like a little bit of a more free form, not really rambly episode. We hope that you like it. This is just sort of an exploration of sustainability, right? In gardening and in homesteading. Take out of it what you will. And I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, for me, like, figure out why you're doing it in the first place. And it'll tell you a lot about where you're going with your project, no matter what it is. And if you always take the why, it will always drive you in the right direction.
That's really good. That is really good advice. And my advice is going to be start small, right?
Yep.
You always want to work up. If you're always working up, you're never going backwards.
Yep.
Well, thanks, man. It's been a fun time. I'm glad we're back. We had a couple weeks off, so it's good to be back.
Yeah.
And we'll see you guys next time on the Compost Pile.